Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts. We have new support cards here. It looks like a brand new SWORDSOUL spell, a brand new TriBrigade quick play spell, and a new branded trap card. Konami wants to finish strong on the Albaz lore because this is the last core set where that will be the main story going on before they move on to the next line of story for a lot of the new archetypes. So let's get into it. So starting off, we have SWORDSOUL of Blazing Awakening. It's a normal spell card that you can only use both of its effects once per turn. First effect: if you control a synchro monster, target one card on the field or in either graveyard, banish it. Okay, so it's not a quick play spell; it's just a normal spell, so it's a little bit slow. And it requires you to have a synchro monster on the field, but targeting any card anywhere and just banishing it is pretty good. Okay. Second effect: if your opponent controls a Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, or Link monster, you can banish one synchro monster from your graveyard. Add this card from your graveyard to your hand. That's pretty cool. I like that a good bit. You can also use both these effects in the same turn as well. Okay, interesting card. Listen, at most to me, this is like a one of in SWORDSOUL. Absolute max one of, because requires you have a synchro on field, so you already have to be able to play for this card to even become live. Two, to get it back, that bonus effect and the second effect, you have to your opponent has to be able to play. You have to have a synchro engrave and get it back, in which case, when you get it back, you have to reestablish another synchro monster to make it live again. So there's definitely some drawbacks here, but considering, I believe CYAC on summon searches any SWORDSOUL card. I believe it searches any SWORDSOUL card, because I think with most lines you're searching Blackout off of that. And so, if you're in a more mid-game board state, or you're about to go, or you're going second, right? Being able to grab this card off of CYAC to immediately threaten something could be a kind of cool one-of. But it's kind of bricky. You don't really want to draw it. You only really want to search it in those scenarios. Interesting card, though. I don't hate it. But, it could have been a quick play, and it would have been insane. Moving on, we have TriBrigade Roar. That's right, another TriBrigade card. This is a quick play spell. There's not been a ton of really playable TriBrigade spells and traps. There's the quick play one that summons something from the deck. There's the search one that nobody ever played because it's like a -1. And I think really the only ones we ever really see play is like Oath saw a little bit of play as a negate. And obviously Revolt is like the one insane spell or trap card the archetype used, like always. But let's get into it. Quick play spell here, like that. That's like the strongest type of spell or trap you can have. You can only activate one card of this card's name per turn if you control a Link monster. So again, you have to have an extra deck monster out. It has to be at least a Link. But it's any Link, so that's nice. It doesn't even have to be a Tri-Beast. So you could go normal Nerval, make an Almirage. Nerval's searching. Does Nerval search any TriBrigade card or only monsters? That's actually a good thing I need to check on, because I'm actually not too sure. Because if it could just search that, you'd have a Link and you would have searched this off of just one card. Send a TriBrigade card. Here we go. Send one TriBrigade card from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. So that even includes, I believe... Oh no, because the Fusion doesn't have TriBrigade in the name. So you'd have to send one of the Link monsters, which again is actually not that bad, because like if you have stuff in Grave, or actually I think you have to have them banished already, send Charade, get a search, send Kit, get a draw, or not Kit, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name because I haven't played against TriBrigade in a minute. The Link 2, very cool, or Bear Room to get a search. To the graveyard, then target, okay, let's start over, I'm talking so much right now, okay. Let's read through it, and then I'll talk about all this afterwards. If you control a Link monster, send one TriBrigade card from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard. So that's card also, spell or trap. Then target one effect monster on the field. Apply this card based on the type of card you sent. Oh, okay. So if you sent a monster from deck or extra deck, you can change that target's attack to 0 until the end of this turn. if you send a spell, negate that target's effects until the end of the turn. Okay, so it can just be a straight up like imperm card if you send a spell. Although I think the spells tend to have like the least useful effects in the grave, if I'm remembering correctly. Plus you'd have to play other TriBrigade spells, and those seem to be like the least playable of the bunch, but we'll see. And then if you send a trap, you get to return that target to the hand. That's pretty cool, because Oath, I believe, is the one that has the negate effect in grave, so there's even extra, you know, benefit of just getting it to grave, and this just becomes a compulse, which is very, very cool. I like this card a lot. I like that just on its own, just the send effect could be worth playing a card like this. Again, just kind of like the card above, I don't love that you have to have a Link monster already on field to play this card, but, you know, it's a TriBrigade card, so if you hard open Revolt, you could play this card, and this would be a secondary search target off of, like, your Bear, because Bear Brum doesn't get Revolt specifically, right? Bear Brum can get any TriBrigade spell or trap, I think. Again, I haven't touched on TriBrigade in a minute. I have to go back and read through the specifics of the text of the other cards, but potentially end on this and a Revolt, which is kind of cool, like a Compulse plus a Revolt, or a like Imperm plus a Revolt. It's really cool. I like this card a lot. I think it's really cool. The only downside is the monster effect is like definitely by far the worst one here. It's not a terrible effect, you know, making something 0, that could come up, but what I'm saying is the best send targets are definitely monsters, for sure. So that's really the one thing that we'll have to keep an eye on. But if, you know, if we can get by sending spells and traps, that could put us in a pretty good position. Or if you play this card at multiple, it says you could definitely send another copy of this card just to get that spell effect as well. So that could work too. Yeah, really, really interesting card. I think this could have a lot of potential in TriBrigade lists. I'd be very curious to see what people come up with there. And the final card we have here today is Blazing Branded King. This is a normal trap card. You can only use one of its 2 effects once per turn, so you can't use them both in the same turn. First effect, choose one fusion monster you control that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material, and negate the effects of all other face-up cards currently on the field until the end of this turn. Wow. Okay, so this is one of those really, really interesting interactive cards that works in a very particular way. Usually cards that we see like this that are negates can't target like spells and traps as they're resolving, because it needs to target, and like, you know, it needs all this stuff to kind of happen. What's really cool is this card is not only like Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, but it's a blanket effect like that. So even in a chain, if your opponent goes, like, activate a spell, you activate something that threatens them, they chain another spell, for example, and then you activate this card, you would negate every face-up card currently in that chain and just on the field in general, aside from the Albaz fusion you're targeting. That's very, very powerful. That means pretty much everything being activated on the field in front of this card in a chain is going to get negated no matter what. Spell, trap, whatever. That's very, very powerful. Very cool. And the second effect, during the end phase, if a fusion monster or monsters was sent to your graveyard this turn, you can add this card from your grave back to your hand. So classic branded stuff, all the branded spells and traps rotate so much. It's a really important part of what makes the deck really hard to deal with a lot of the time, is the recurability. Not only do the monsters float, but the spells and traps float. It's a problem. Yeah, I think this card's pretty good. Obviously, at most, it's a one-of, and you know, again, just like both the other cards above, I'm seeing a theme here. It requires you to already get to a fusion monster that mentions Albaz in the name, or in its materials. So, like, that's obviously not your favorite, but if we have a way to search this, you know, as part of a combo, and like the combo already includes us obviously putting an Albaz fusion on the field, this card's a very powerful card to add to what Branded does. Plus, I believe a lot of the time, the Branded decks do not set up a ton of negation. So this just being a negate for the deck could be really huge. It's probably just a one-of. Again, it gets itself back, so getting in rotation is really solid. But, you know, again, just a searchable one-of. Nice piece for Branded stuff. They already have a couple of really good traps, so that'll really be the question, is you don't want to play all of them, because it's probably too many. But which ones do you play? And which ones are worth it? Which ones are not? We'll have to see. But very, very cool. All in all, I think all 3 cards are, like, interesting. I think this one's the least interesting to me for Sword Soul. It's at most a one of, but it's just okay, and it's not. It doesn't have like interruptive capabilities, just removal cards, so just meh. This card I think definitely has the most potential here because this can be played earlier in turns compared to the other two, and this one has a lot more utility, almost as like an extender starter kind of card, but also like can double as an interruption, just cool. And then the trap card, solid, could just be a solid end board addition to the branded deck to allow them to get to a little more negation. Pretty cool. But yeah, all things considered, I think these cards are pretty cool. I'm happy they did this. It felt weird that like we didn't have that much stuff. I mean, we just had the new fusion monster, but I think that was like it in this set for the most part. And it felt weird that if we were going to move on to a new lore without like giving one final little touch up to a lot of these archetypes. Maybe there'll be another Springens card. I know they got the big support in the last set, but that's another one of those archetypes for this for the lore, but we'll obviously see. So I'll keep you guys updated as anything else gets revealed. I think this puts us on 23 cards left for Cyberstorm access. So over the next 4 or 5 days, we'll probably get like the final, we'll probably get like 8 or 9, maybe 10 cards revealed. And then probably like right before the set comes out, we'll get like all final 12 cards revealed all at once. But we'll obviously get that when we get that, and I will bring it to you. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, let me know your thoughts on all 3 of these new cards, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on all things Yu-Gi-Oh! News. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.